racers, on your mark, set, go! Have a great time on Ionia County Gravel!
Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. You have commentary today from yours truly, Harrison. We are at the Cowpie Classic Short Haul. It's a 32-mile gravel race. It's about 80% gravel with some pavement and then also a short farm section. The race is out in Ionia, Michigan. And we have pretty light winds today, maybe only around 2 miles per hour from the east-northeast. And the course is shaped somewhat like a figure 8. One thing to note is that the morning of, the director announced at the start line that the race course has changed due to a storm that passed through the area the previous night. So unfortunately, the GPS files that everyone had on their devices are incorrect, which does come into play a bit later in the race. I'm racing on Team KLM Coldstone, blue and black jersey. You can see Jim behind me sporting one. We have about 15 people on our team at this race. Unfortunately, my front GoPro had an SD card error, so I lost the footage from that. But I also have some footage from Brian, my teammate, and also fellow competitor Eddie, which we will show later. The competition at this race seemed pretty stacked, with 2nd through 5th place from last year here, as well as 2nd through 5th place from the overall Michigan Gravel Race Series from last year. So we've skipped forward 4 miles, and we're in the center section of the figure 8, so we hit this section twice. And this has the major hill in the race. It's about 50 seconds long, 9% gradient max, and the rest of the course is pretty flat, so this is the one area where you could make a break and try to get some separation. So you see our teammate Tim off the front. But now we can jump to the next section in the race. We're turning right into the farm. And this section is kind of like cyclocross, so it's a good place to make separation. And now on my rear camera, I'm near the back of the group. You can see Mike coming up, the white Evade helmet, 879. He was actually at the front of the group, but the GPS file said to go straight, and so he went straight. And also the race director told everyone this morning that the farm comes at mile 9 and we're only at mile 6.5. So the course is pretty confusing and easy to make mistakes. But Mike is super strong. He passes me and catches the front group. And I'm near the back, just doing my best not to lose too much time. You can see on Brian's front camera that Tim is out of sight. He's way out there, off the front, and easy to take good lines through this section. We're entering the forest, and you can see our other teammates, Bill and then John, passing over here, trying to be at the front before we enter this kind of 2-track, single-track section. There's a volunteer telling some people to turn right or go straight, and it's not very clear. So the long haul route, the longer race, was supposed to go right, and we go straight. It's not really well marked, and probably not enough volunteers for this race. This farm section is definitely the most interesting and fun part of the race. So let's just enjoy some of this footage. So this small little hill here, that's kind of crushed gravel, dirt, it's kind of loose and pretty steep. You can see the front guys passing some people who are walking up. Those are people who started in the earlier wave doing the longer race distance. But you'll see also people in our group, including me and others who have not as good bike handling skills, who are stuck behind other people. We have to get off and walk or run our bikes up. It does get pretty steep. It's over 10%, 15%. I jump back on my bike, and if my front GoPro had footage, you'd be able to see the front group is a good 30 seconds away from me now, and it's pretty strung out. People are going pretty hard through this farm section, trying to create some separation. So I put my head down and I just start chasing, and you can see I start to distance the people behind me, and I think I'm one of the last people to chase down the front group. So I finally make it to the front group about 3 miles later, and from Brian's camera footage you can see me coming out on the left, the white helmet, following someone's wheel, just trying to see what's going on. There's about 30 people left in the group, and John sees me and he comes up, flags me down. He's asking me, do I know what's going on? And, tells me that Tim is still off the front alone, so no need to go super hard. If I find myself at the front, I don't have to pull super hard either, which is great. Let the other guys do the work. So now we skip forward to mile 19.5, and Tim finally gets caught by the group. You can see him in Brian's front camera footage here. So he was solo for almost 20 miles, which is pretty crazy. But thanks to him, I've been chilling, the rest of our team has been chilling in the pack. Our heart rate's only 150. Threshold for me is around 170s or 180. So I'm going pretty easy here and feeling good. We skipped again about 2 miles after Tim is caught, and now you can hear some people yelling attack on the left and to follow. So my teammate Mike decides to attack this time. Unfortunately, this one only lasts about a minute or two before he's caught, as the pace is picking up and we're getting closer to the finish line. So now we skipped back to doing this hill again, and I'm thinking whether or not I want to attack or do I just sit in. So I decide I just want to kind of be at the front of the group in case someone else attacks, so I can catch onto their wheel. So I'm putting out decent power, moving up a bit. You can see a couple guys off the front. So none of the attacks near the hill stuck, so we're all back together with about 30 people in the group, but still a little less than 5 miles to go, and it feels kind of fast. In the front we're single file, and again in my head I'm wondering if I should attack here. And my first gravel race from 2 weekends ago, I actually did a solo attack with 5 miles left and was brought back after about 3 miles out alone, with one teammate that bridged and helped me for about a mile. So I didn't really want to do the same thing since it didn't work at the last race, and wanted to see what might happen if I were to stay with the group and go for a sprint at the end. So I find myself off the front, I did a short pole, and I fall back into the group. So now we have some different front camera footage. This is from Eddie. He's number 744 behind me on a rigid mountain bike. And coming into the finish, it's all paved, slight downhill for some of it. And we have about half a mile left. We're at 31.4 miles, and the race finishes at 31.9 for me. So that's about 800 meters left. And with a group of 30 people, it's pretty big, and you can see people trying to pass and taking up the whole road. But there's still cars coming, and it's pretty sketchy. People get like squeezed together, and then they fan back out. And I'm about 25th wheel, I'm near the back, but it's kind of hard to move up. And around here we pass some barriers which are supposed to stop cars, but there's still cars driving through here. One thing I talked about with Jason after the race about who gets caught up in a crash is that it might have been a good idea to do a long sprint, maybe even as far out as 1 mile, just to be able to avoid all this mess at the end. And here, let's go back there. So now in slow motion, we have the AAVC rider behind me to my left, the blue jersey, and then Jason on Lucky Buckets in the red and black jersey right behind me. And unfortunately here, the AAVC rider crosses wheels with the guy in front of him, and Jason gets caught right behind. But I find my way around, and I finally see an open line to open up a sprint. But by now there's only 150 meters left or so, and I was way too far back to catch the front 3 riders. But you can see here there's 2 blue jerseys, Mike and Brad on my team out front. And Brad is coming backwards actually, and he gave Mike a lead out without Mike knowing. But that helped us secure a 3rd place overall at this race. So thanks for tuning in and watching, and thanks again to Brian and Eddie for sharing your footage so that we have some different perspectives, and hopefully we'll have some more other races coming up this summer.